Coach, there's 4 teams at top of both divisions. In the East, it's Michigan, who's 4-0. Ohio State, it's 3-0. Obviously, Ohio State's just coming off a bye, so they haven't played as many games as Michigan. In the West, it's Illinois and Purdue. They're both 3-1. Illinois is going into a bye week, as is Michigan. Purdue's bye week is the end of October. I always felt as a head coach, one of the most difficult, important decisions I made during the season was how to handle the bye week. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree. A lot of times, once again, trial and error throughout your career, but I would always ask Lou Holtz. He was my mentor, and I would call him about questions, for example, like that. And his answer always to me would be, first, what kind of team do you have? You know, the mistake that many coaches make, myself included, would be that you just, well, this is the way we did it 2 years ago. What does that have to do with?
Right.
You file that, and if you have the same type of team, you have an overconfident team, a team exactly the way you want them, or an underconfident team. So it depends on what kind of team you have. So let's focus on going in. So depends on what you just previously had. So the number one job of a bye week, in my opinion, always have been the health and safety of your players. How do you get them back? Because a lot of times you're wore out. If you're not wore out, that's a good thing. You know, I would always go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What do you do the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Is it full pads? Is it, you know, if you're a team that's operating like Ohio State, they're playing very well on offense, defense, and kicking. They haven't played the most difficult schedule. So I would take Ohio State, that team, going into a bye week. I'd do as much good on good as possible, staying up, not putting people in harm's way, but still good on good, and practice and go with that.
Is that to keep the game speed?
Absolutely.
So you have a good team, you're going into an off week, and you want to keep game speed. To answer what kind of team you have, that's the kind of team it looks like Ryan Day may have.
Number one is health and safety of your team.
Right.
Number two is keep them at game speed.
Okay.
Okay, now let's go a team that's not very good. You know, you're struggling going into a bye week, or you're not running the ball well. You're having pass protection issues. You take and you highlight whatever 3 or 4 things you're struggling at, and that's your practice focuses on. We're not running the ball very good. Okay, first of all, evaluate what the heck you're doing on offense. Maybe you're not calling the right plays, so do a self-scout. And then maybe you have a certain positions, your right guard, your left tackle, your tight end, someone's not playing very well. Focus on getting that player better so you can check the boxes after those 3 days. So once you have a team that's playing very well, game speed. You have a team that's maybe not playing very well in certain areas, fix those areas.
Okay, so we've talked about the situation that Michigan's in, Illinois, going into a bye week. Let's talk about the situation Ohio State's in, coming out of a bye week. You know, where do you make your decisions there? How much does it have to do with the next game that you're playing, what the rest of the season looks like?
Coming out of a bye week, we did a little differently than most. On Monday, we called it a +1. And I wanted to go full pads on Monday. There's a little bit of risk in that. And I've talked to Coach Day and I've talked to other coaches about this. When you give players 3 days off, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you know, a lot of people want to slow them into practice. I wanted to go full speed ahead as hard as we could on Monday,
right.
A +1. On Tuesday, another day of pads, but then I'd pull the pads off them on Wednesday. Because the most important thing is when the foot hits the ball that next Saturday, I wanted our guys fresh. And once again, you're 6, 7 games into this, your shoulders, your neck, you know, how much more pounding can you take? So we would go +1, practice hard on Monday, practice hard on Tuesday, back off, back off, back off. And I want those guys to feel like they're walking on water or walking on air by the time they play the game.
Coach, if you want some feedback on the +1 idea, I'll give it to you. Joshua Perry said he never thought it was a good idea until Wednesday. And then he thought it was a good idea, but he didn't like it when it was first told him.
My leaders, he was a captain, and why are we doing that one? And then all of a sudden, at the end of the season, like, now I know why I did it.
He did. He said that first Monday +1 was no fun. What about recruiting and during the off week? And does recruiting change in the off week?
You know, recruiting this time of year is non-contact, so you can't go visit with players. The calendar's been moved up so far back when, you know, in our generation, our era of coaching and recruiting, you're actually identifying prospects still.
Right.
Prospects are identified. But the big thing you can do now is go watch them practice. And so that's a big chance to go visit the high school, walk out to practice, height and weight the guy, make sure you see him if you haven't seen him play in person, especially the skill positions like a quarterback or receiver, watch him play. But recruiting is essential. You know, a lot of times it's also just the fact that you're there.
Right.
you know, it kind of would bother me at times. Our recruiting coordinator said, I'm going to send you to, you know, somewhere far away. I'm like, do I really need to do that? And he said, you have to be there because Saban's going to be there, because Dabo's going to be there. So you need to be there.